To the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting days for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. For the record, this is a combined meeting, so we have a work session and then a public meeting, and public comment will be taken during the public meeting. So first we have our first item. Well, also for attendance reasons, I know Councilman Stefanowicz and Councilman Park will not be here tonight. Are we expecting Max?
Yes, I thought he was
Yeah, I
coming.
thought he was coming also.
He never said he was not.
The OEM update. We turn to our manager, OEM manager, Mr. Barzalato.
Thank you. Let me first, before I go over the items, I want to just recognize Chief Bruno and Chief Chamberlain for all of the work they've done in support of the Office of Emergency Management. And of course, I've been blessed to have two fantastic OEM deputies, Lizette and now Captain DiMicata, who have brought more information and more professionalism to this office than ever before. I'm meeting tomorrow with Captain DiMicata to finalize the manual, which is has to be reported to the state every 4 years. Really some minor changes to it, nothing really major, with the exception of we've added Brightview facility as a major facility in the borough of Tenafly.
Tony, what is the name of this manual?
It's an emergency operations manual. Tenafly has the ability to operate two warming cooling centers located at the Senior Center and the Mechanics Room. These two locations, based upon the design and layout, cannot allow for overnight accommodations. These two sites do offer a warm or air-conditioned space during brief periods of extreme temperatures. These two facilities also afford the opportunity for residents affected by widespread power outages to recharge cell phones. These locations can also serve as meeting points for families affected by localized disasters or transition points for those seeking refuge at the Bergen County or Red Cross shelter. Some parameters concerning the warming cooling centers. Number one, the warming and cooling centers will be activated by the Office of Emergency Management in consultation with the Emergency Services Leadership and the Borough Administrator. Number two, both locations will be used as warming, cooling centers and cell phone charging sites. Number three, sleeping accommodations are not available at these two sites. Those residents in need of overnight stay will be directed to local hotels, homes of family and friends, and if needed, Bergen County shelters if they're available, or open for that matter. Number four, these centers cannot support residents with special medical needs. Those individuals may be referred to local hospitals or Bergen County shelters. Number five, consumption of food or alcohol is prohibited in these centers. Bathroom facilities are, however, available. However, shower and bathing are not provided. Number six, pets are not permitted. Sorry, Mayor. Number seven, these two centers are for Tenafly residents only. Number eight, the hours of operation will vary based upon the nature of the incident. Number nine, notification of the warming cooling center openings and closings will be conducted via the code red, along with posted notices at each center. In addition, social media, along with message boards, will also be used for notifications. In extreme cases of severe disasters, roving patrols with public address speakers or door-to-door notifications may have to be made. Number 10, warming cooling centers will require borough services for security, for maintenance, and additional staff to assist with the operation of the center. Number 11, children cannot be left unattended. There are no babysitting services provided. In terms of notifications, the Tenafly Office of Emergency Management strongly suggests that all residents register online for the code red email and text notifications. Texts and emails are more likely to transmit even when traditional phone lines are out of service. As we experienced during Superstorm Sandy, many residents were without power and phone service for many days. However, cell phone service providers had fully functional systems within hours of the storm. We strongly suggest that residents have numerous cell phone chargers and ensure their phones are always fully charged. Residents should have cell phone chargers for use in their vehicles, as this is a great tool to use when the household power is out of service. Oh yes, and ensure your vehicles are full of gasoline, as the gas pumps also run on electricity. Most weather events afford some level of advanced warning, entail advanced planning: hurricanes, snowstorms, nor'easter, heat waves, and extended cold spells. This will allow the OEM office to coordinate advanced notifications to borough residents. However, some catastrophic incidents, such as a tornado and large-scale power outages, gas explosions, are spontaneous events which cannot be pre-planned. Based upon the type and the size of the disaster, communications may be interrupted, roadways to these centers may be impassable. First responders may be dedicated to life-saving efforts during the first hours or days after the event, and there will be no guarantee that residents will be reachable to notify them that the centers have opened. All residents should be prepared and planning themselves for the possibility that emergency services and shelters may not be immediately available due to the type and the magnitude of the disaster. All residents should have a plan in place. Ensure that you have enough food and water for 72 hours in your home at all times. Residents should always have on hand ample batteries, extra gasoline, of course stored in a safe place. Only good for 1 year, naturally. Reminder that generators are for outside use only. And that's my report for the warming and cooling stations.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said something about the code red,
Correct.
that residents should,
Correct.
how does one do that?
They can,
You can
I
go
mean,
on our
is
website.
this
sign
in,
up.
in the
it's in
newsletter
the website.
also?
Well, it's usually in the newsletter, but it's also on the website.
It is, so
Clearly
it's,
explained in the
okay,
website.
as long as it is.
Mhm.
yeah,
I was
that's-
gonna ask, are we gonna be able to reprint the report in the February edition?
Yes,
That's a
absolutely.
good
I
idea.
have a number of questions. Tony.
Sure.
You mentioned that these cooling and heating stations would be transition centers to the county if people need. Do we have a plan on how these people are going to get from these two locations to a county center?
Well, right now, because we're utilizing a van that we're gonna get for the senior center, that's one option. Otherwise, the county will have resources that will be able to help, but
I
it's gonna be
was,
limited.
I was under the impression that our goal was to provide sleeping locations for, 24-hour locations at some point, Is that still on your radar screen, or is this something that's going to,
No, it's a long-term plan that, yes,
we talked about cots, we talked about this and
No,
that.
but at these two facilities, it's impossible to have overnight accommodations.
So
We've looked at other facilities, as we've talked about in the past. We've had the Red Cross come out and identify certain buildings in the borough of Tenafly that could be utilized as potential shelters if a disaster.
But we're
or
still
something.
looking for those location where
Well,
we can
we've
do 20?
identified them, but yes, we've identified them. And it's still work in progress, yes.
Okay, no food in these
I
No
was
locations?
just going to say that.
Well, so
What
why
happens
is
if
that?
it's small?
Well, because for maintenance reasons, we don't, it's not a dining facility. It's a warming, it's a cooling center, it's an area for somebody to just take some short refuge, charge their phones, and then move on. We don't want them bringing,
Where are they gonna, when you say move on?
well,
I'm assuming that these centers will really come into play primarily when we have a disaster of the magnitude of some of these storms where we're without power for a significant amount of time.
correct.
Okay, and the people that are gonna take advantage of these centers are, for the most part, seniors, people that, don't have family in the area, and I'm not sure that what was presented tonight is going to be adequate to, you say no food, you can't sleep there, where are they gonna go?
Then make accommodations for them to go to a hotel, or they're gonna go to Bergen County shelters.
Well, that was my next question. You said the three options are hotels, relatives and friends, and possibly the county. Well, when we say hotels, I mean, what hotels? The Clinton Inn normally is before half the town realizes there's a power outage, the Clinton Inn is sold out. As are all the other hotels. If you remember the last disaster, I don't know that there were any rooms available anywhere within reach. And relatives and friends, if people had relatives and friends, they wouldn't be coming here. They'd be going to the relatives and friends right away. And when you say if the county is available,
Well, it's not so much if, most likely let's take a storm like Super Sandy. The county had several shelters open, one being at Bergen Community College.
and did they have room?
Absolutely, plenty of room.
So
And
then,
do they have
then-
food there? And
It's a shelter.
it's like a
Shelter.
dorm.
Overnight shelter.
so
beds.
then I think one of the most important parts of this plan is to provide for transportation
Mm.
for anybody in our town that wants to go, that needs shelter, 24-hour-a-day shelter. We need to have and obviously we're gonna have a van next year, so that can be part of it, but then we have to provide for a driver and as well as gas, and so that has to be part of this overall plan. That's
Well,
it.
it's not
Mark,
part
did you have
of our
some-
plan to be going door to door to pick up people to take them to shelters.
Well, I-
Rearrangements are gonna have to be already in play.
I think one of the things we ought to do, and the Senior Services Committee, I'm sure will be attacking this at some point in time, is compiling a list of people who feel that should we have a disaster of the magnitude of Sandy, they would like to be recognized and called, or somebody knock on their door to see what, if any, needs they have. Whether it's our police, or whether it's a volunteer, whether it's the person driving the van. And don't forget, the last time we had this kind of a storm, a lot of the streets were not passable. We had dozens of streets that had huge trees across them, so we couldn't get everywhere we want. We could get within a block or two of anywhere. But I think one of the things we need to do is, and I know you guys over at the Senior Services Committee are gonna be working on various lists, is compile a list of people that wanna be called, that wanna wanna be checked upon, should we have any sort of a level, type disaster.
So I think this is a very good place to start. It's a great,
Mhm.
because we have nothing now, so everything's an improvement.
Absolutely.
One of the concerns I have, or questions I have, is we have a shelter, we bring people there.
Well, don't call it a shelter. It's a warming and cooling center.
We have a warming center,
Mhm.
okay, and it's because more concerned about the warming aspect, because that's in the winter,
Mhm.
okay? And so we have people there, it's 5 o'clock, the snow's still falling, now people can't get anywhere because transportation isn't working, and they've been attracted to the warming center because we've said, come to the warming center. What do we do in a scenario where physically we can't actually move people to the Bergen County shelter, and we can't get them to their friend's house because the weather has deteriorated, and now we've got 15 people there? We might
Probably
wanna think
one-
about
Well, yeah,
some
but
sort of
one of the other problems,
emergency.
because these warming and cooling centers are limited, we're also going to be limited in the amount of people that we can accommodate, because they are small, it's
Right.
not, they're not big facilities, so, if the event like that were to take place, then we're gonna have to make provisions to find out how we can get them to Bergen County shelter. But
Well,
at that time, the Bergen County shelters will most likely be activated
I have a
by
hard
Bergen County OEM.
time envisioning a disaster much worse than the last storm,
Sandy.
where we were out of power in some cases for 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks. And the number of people that really required assistance that we were aware of was very, very small.
Correct.
Most people were able to find the friends and relatives if they couldn't stay in their house. But of course, keep in mind that weather wasn't an issue, it wasn't cold. So now if people need heat and there's no heat in their house, that could increase the numbers of people that are needing assistance. But I think that this is, like Mark said, it's a good start, but I think we need to keep moving forward. And
Let me just say this also, if you were to check with the building department in Tenafly, the amount of generators that get permitted monthly in the borough of Tenafly is astronomical, probably more than any town in Bergen County. And it behooves anybody in the borough of Tenafly, whether it be a senior citizen or not, to reach out to their neighbors and their friends. And listen, if, you know, if here Tony Barzellato's got a generator, and my neighbor next door does not have a generator, of course, listen, that's what the neighborly thing is to do. That's what one should be doing as a good citizen.
When all these generators
Unless-
turn on, we have enough gas pressure.
Well,
That's always
Then
a
you gotta call
problem.
PSE&G, but yeah.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, we'll be right
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. No, but listen, in reality, that's what we really should be thinking about doing as well.
Well, I agree, and I think almost all of our communications should include something about help your neighbor. You
Absolutely.
know, keep an eye on the people that live on your block.
Absolutely.
Identify people and offer
Absolutely.
them assistance. You know,
We're
that's-
not, I don't believe there's a resident in this town that's that callous that wouldn't take in somebody that needed
Yeah,
assistance, you
that's
know?
not possible.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
Okay. And I'll get this to you electronically, okay?
Has everybody taken a look at the calendar for 2017?
I don't see anything in there that sticks out as a problem.
I don't either, other than the fact that I'll throw this out to everybody. I know which way the clerk will go right away, but we have in our calendar now this year, 2 months where we only have one meeting. We have a couple of months where we only have 2 meetings. And the question becomes, in my mind, do we need 3 meetings in a month?
No.
Do we want to consider going to 2 meetings in the normal months? And now, I'm not trying to be lazy or say I don't want to come 3 nights a week, a month, but just having a meeting is a lot of work for the clerk and the administrator. And if we can get our work done in a timely fashion, where there's no downside to it, I just would like everybody, the members of the council, as well as obviously our administrator and our clerk, to think about, you know, is there a downside to going to 2 meetings a month for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months? 6 of the months, we don't have 3 meetings. It's the other 6 months. So, I mean, at one time we had 4 meetings a month, and the thought of going to 3 was, we could never do that. Well, we've done it seamlessly.
I think the system has become so much more efficient, Mayor, from what it used to be, so I think it's worth a shot. And you could always add a meeting if the work schedule became such that it warranted it.
I haven't seen the clerk smile like that in years.
I think to make Shawna's, I'm sorry, was that,
No, I'm saying especially this. The only thing is, going down 2 meetings, it would have to be combined for finance to process the
Right.
bills.
Financial and all, I mean, let's be honest, there's 3 months of the year where we have special budget meetings.
Yeah.
So, it's not like, you know, I'm not suggesting for 1 second that we eliminate budget meetings, because those are important. But when we have 3 meetings in January, February, March, and we're also having 2 or 3 meetings for the budget, that's a lot, you know. So, Lisette, would you want to come back with an amended schedule
Sure.
for our look-see? Max, you just came in, you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with getting from 3 to 2 meetings,
Okay.
as long as we can do it, as long as we don't make long meetings that make no sense.
No, that surely not.
What about, so I'll come back with the December meeting, a revised schedule. What about the recess and reorg meeting? Is that date fine? Because I have to notice the recess and reorg meeting first before the rest of the calendar. The rest of the calendar is noticed
When
as
is
part
that?
of
I
the
think
organization.
Well, I
And the
would,
county has asked for everyone's reorg meeting
Yeah.
dates.
I would
January 3rd,
suggest that in January, we do have 3 meetings. The reorg recess meeting
That's
is
yeah.
one,
Yeah,
and then 2 other
2
meetings.
others, yeah, that makes sense.
that's fine.
No, but how's since it's normally on a Saturday or a Sunday,
Right.
this year, for 2017, I'm proposing because the way we're off for New Year's, and New Year's is observed Monday the 2nd, and we all come back to work on Tuesday.
I think that makes sense to
Yeah,
what
that's
you,
fine.
what
Yeah.
you've scheduled.
I'm not gonna be here for the January 3rd meeting, so
Is that,
whatever you wanna do.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's
Sounds like it's
The
Tuesday.
second is Monday, right?
Yeah, but apparently that's official, the official holiday is that Monday, because the first is a Sunday.
I'm gonna be on vacation, so
A lot of people will be
whenever I'm gonna
closed.
come back,
A
I'm
lot
sure
of things will be
somebody's gonna
closed on
swear me
January
in.
second.
Thank you.
All right, so it's a Sunday, so we would have to have the reorg, either Sunday, right,
So the third makes sense.
Isn't
Right.
it a bill?
but
Last
we're having the
time I swore
reorg,
Jackson.
on a
at night.
Tuesday.
That's strange. but
What's strange?
What is strange?
Having the reorg in the middle of the week, not in the middle of the week, on Tuesday.
But
I'd
we're-
rather on a week,
But we're here on Tuesdays anyway,
Always,
that's
yeah.
why. That's
Well,
why I
otherwise you
thought-
wait until the following weekend.
No.
Oh, you can't do
No,
that,
let's
cause
do
it's, you have to be in the first 7 days.
I mean,
Right.
my own feeling is we should either do
10
it on the
10 days,
first,
10 days.
on New
Right.
Year's Day, or on the third.
Third is fine.
Yeah.
Third is fine.
Okay.
Okay, next is the resolutions supporting the pending COA bills. For those of you that went to the seminars at the League on COA, this was something that each one of them emphasized, very important. Anybody have any problems with that?
What is the purpose of it?
The purpose of it is to just give our legislators a little shot in the arm to get this thing done.
Okay, so it's just a
Nobody's saying that it's gonna accomplish too much, Max,
But a
but
little pressure won't hurt.
yes.
It's one of-
Because this just drags on and on and on. And once again, at these seminars, it was pointed out that the consortium that we belong to has really done a lot. Without the consortium, we'd be up the creek. And the consortium not only has accomplished a lot by getting our side of the story in front of the judges, but it's also saved us money in the long run, because instead of paying an attorney on our own, we're part of a group of, I don't know how many communities that are pooling their numbers. It's just, it's a
It's been as
full,
high as
But the
200.
Bennett court seems to be,
it's still a full employment plan for the lawyers and judges
Yeah,
and
of
stuff
course.
like that.
I read the resolution, and basically the whole idea is that they don't count the gap and use the whole thing as a
Well, the gap would, to include the gap would raise our
raise our
requirements.
Yeah.
beyond. I don't even know what the legislators are thinking. Do we have any idea? We voting over there to tell them what to
I think
do?
you ought to start by asking if they are thinking, then wonder what they're.
Whatever, I'm trying, it's one of the rah, let's do that, let's do it.
They're trying to get rid of this gap obligation.
Yeah, I read
That's the
the
goal.
obligation, yeah, I read the whole
You know, and
thing.
then we do have some representatives that are really gung ho with COA. One of the things that was brought up was, once again, the reinstitution of RCA's, which were about as effective a tool of creating affordable housing as any. The only downside was it created affordable housing in urban areas, and the Fair Housing Group wants it in suburbs and upscale communities. The next thing is trees in Highland Park. I asked if we put that on just to bring you folks up to date. I know an email was circulated from David Wall, who wanted us not to plant any new trees in Highland Park because at some point in time they might want to put a statue of Elizabeth Cady Stanton in Highland Park. And my answer to that was,
No.
we have plenty of room if we want to.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad place to put a statue when we get around to it, but in the meantime,
yeah,
the trees
please
could be
plant the
50
trees.
feet tall by that time.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
please plant the trees.
Okay,
You're
so-
gonna be dead by the time the
Well,
statue
you'll just let Bob know to go ahead with the
Plenty of room
plantings.
for a statue.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
plenty of
But
space.
also, if David asked, I assured him,
Yeah.
it doesn't preclude getting a statue
We'll put
there.
it in his,
And I think Elizabeth Cady Stanton always liked shade anyway. Administrator's update?
you said a memo was circulated, we didn't see that.
It wasn't a memo, it was an email from, I don't know if Paul Stefanowitz sent it out.
I don't think that was
See it?
distributed.
No, I don't think we sent it to
No, I don't
council.
think we
I'll
didn't see
forward it to Lisette, who shared it. I think I still have it.
You have the the memo, the update memo on your
Mhm.
screen, and of course, we have the accompanying building department report for, the month of October. With regard to, just some recent, news items and activities, I hope you were all happy to see that, our own Bob Culvert was honored at the league. And, so as it indicates here, he was selected as the Public Works Leader of the Year by the American Public Works Association. And that award ceremony and presentation took place at the league, at their annual meeting. The telephone system upgrade is going extremely well. The cabling has been completed, and we actually had a progress call this afternoon with the installation team, and it was determined that installation and training will take place during the period of November 29th through December 2nd. That will include Borough Hall, Police, the Senior Center, and DPW. The group is working independently with the police department because of their schedule, which is so significantly different than the regular Borough Hall. And Captain DeMoncada is the contact person who is working directly with Eastern Datacom. So that's where we are with the telephone system upgrade. So by installation, we mean that the cabling is all done. They'll be actually installing the hand units on the wall locations and on people's desks. And then they'll be doing training on, the various communication features and upgrades that we'll have at our disposal. Edmund's accounting system installation is moving ahead, and since we have Susan here, she'd like to give a
Okay.
brief update.
Well, on November 14th, after the grace period was over, we transferred all the data. We controlled our number to First Byte. Since then, we've been utilizing the new system, updating the delinquent taxes that are coming in after the fact. And we are also updating miscellaneous revenue from all the departments. We had to change the accounting codes from 4 digits to 3 digits. And our next phase that we just started working on today is the finance module.
Okay. And once again, we're gonna be doing training in December on the new PO system. And as we indicated before, this year's budget will be the last budget that we do in our traditional paper format. And then next year, we'll be moving to the electronic budget preparation and monitoring process.
How about the user-friendly budget? Will that be electronic also?
We're hoping that one goes away.
Well, speaking of the user-friendly
Yeah.
budget, the state announced at the League of Municipalities that they're gonna be moving to using an electronic budget. So we don't know all of the details as yet. They will be sending us a local finance notice that will lay out the procedures and the policies. It's still a little wonky. For instance, the user-friendly budget, believe it or not, has to be transmitted and maintained as an active document that anybody could change because of the way the macros are inserted. So,
What do you mean anybody could change?
meaning that anybody who receives a copy of the user-friendly budget, they are receiving an active Excel worksheet.
So they can,
But you can protect us, every
But
single
they don't
cell.
want it protected.
They don't want it protected.
why?
That makes no sense.
I know, they want to compile data from all the towns.
There's no meaning to
'Cause
the
we
phrase
questioned it.
user-friendly.
Yeah, but they can compile it without being able to modify it. You basically just protect it and they can
You're
compile.
preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
but
we
this
already
is what
tried
the-
that.
Yeah, believe me, a lot of questions and a lot of comments arose at the update where they made that announcement. But this is what they've decided to do. We'll see what the local finance notice says. I'm sure that maybe they'll explain their rationale and their methodology a little bit better. But just wanted you to be aware.
And there's a webinar in February.
Okay, with regard to some general updates, we did receive notice that our project for recoding of the Roosevelt Commons tennis courts is tentatively included in the group of projects for approval that they'll be submitting to the county freeholders. We received bids for the senior minibus, and we'll be, in our meeting tomorrow morning with engineering, we'll be getting the assessment and determining if the low bidder, that we know strictly by the price, was also the responsive bidder. And as of right now, we do plan to give you an update at the next committee of the whole meeting on December 6th, and if all goes well, we'll be meeting our schedule of making the contract award on December 13th.
Sure, can I have a copy of the bids, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
The bid sheet.
Yeah, bid sheet, yeah.
Registrar, shared services, basically this confirms what we discussed at the last meeting. The Borough Council of Little Ferry has approved the continuation of the registrar agreement for a new 5-year period. So we will still have excellent coverage through 2021. And we'll be looking to accept that agreement at the December 13th council meeting for action, but obviously we'll give you copies and
Can you just
permit
remind
you to
us
review
what
it.
does the register do?
The registrar is the individual under the state's Department of Health and Human Services who's responsible for maintaining and generating birth certificates and marriage certificates and death certificates.
And we do that locally here?
We do that locally here, yes.
When we don't have a registrar, Mr. Barrett goes a little crazy, because it's it's a lot of work.
So we have a registrar, and then we have a person in my office. You may recall earlier this year, someone was trained to be the deputy registrar.
I remember that.
Thank
So
you.
we're covered and we're compliant. And then, of course, we talked just briefly about the municipal budget. On December 6th, we'll be giving you our annual, I guess, state of the city overview of how we fared this year financially and fiscally. Susan and I will be giving you an update on just some issues and just some things that we want to keep an eye out on for 2017. And as we mentioned, they're talking about an electronic budget submission, which we'll hear more about. And they also have indicated that there will be the usual annual extension on the budget submission process. So we'll also be coming back to you with an updated budget
So
calendar.
the last time when you gave us an update, we were at 58% after the first 3 quarters of the
Oh, you
budget.
mean the revenues?
Yeah, basically what.
Are you doing
we
revenue or expenses, man?
Expenses were 58% of after the 3 quarters of the year. Now, are we gonna get like by the end of the year something that's the approximate expenses for the year?
We'll get, through November, you'll know the expenses through the year.
I'm sorry?
Through November.
Through November.
Because we're gonna talk to you about it in the beginning of December. We won't have the year-end information till December.
Yeah, but we'll
yes,
have a good
that's what
idea,
we
and you
do.
have to
Oh, yeah,
put in
so
We'll
place.
come back here
most
for the
of
rest of the
a
work
lot it
session.
will be
Yeah.
done.
Or we could continue in there.
Yeah, we can continue in there. Okay, so we're going to we're going to adjourn the work session for now, or just move it in there and do the fire posters?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the kids, I haven't seen anybody from the fire department here.
Well, Bill Connolly, I know, is on vacation.
Alden knows, I spoke to him.
Okay, so
Accepted.
we're gonna just,
We adjourning
Arson, we're
this?
just gonna move inside.
Yeah, so we can get the kids together
So-
prices.
We're not coming back in here.
Are we going to adjourn?
To see what's going on.
It's Monday night.
Is it Monday night? It's Monday. You're right, it's Monday night. Well, so, and anyway, it's also great to see so many people have worked so very hard on these fire prevention posters. The reason being is, I know you understand how important it is for safety purposes, fire prevention, but sometimes our parents forget. They lead such busy lives, and when you spend time doing these posters, it's kind of a reminder for them to make your houses safe. And we all live in such a nice world here in Tenafly, but I think you could ask the fire inspector, any of these firemen, Councilman Barzalato, who's a lifetime fireman. We have fires in Tenafly and houses burn down. So fires prevention, which is the ultimate fire safety, where we prevent fires, is very, very important. And so, not only when you're presenting your poster, listen to what everybody else has to say too, because there's a lot of different ideas on how you can make your house safe. I see we have our esteemed fire chief. Rich, would you mind, I'm sorry? I thought this meeting was just continued, no?
No, this is the public.
Oh, okay, Rich, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do the Open Public Meetings Act. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Notice of this meeting, Resolution 16-362 has been sent to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. We're going to do the salute to the flag?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Here.
Councilmember Bash?
Here.
Councilmember Hayter?
Here.
Councilmember Zina?
Here.
Mayor Rustin?
Here. Revisions to the agenda?
You have none?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes. October 13th, the regular meeting, October 25th, the work session, October 25th, the regular meeting, October 25th, the closed session, November 1st, the work session, November 1st, the regular meeting, and November 1st, the closed session. A motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, Chief Philpott, our fire chief and our fire inspector, Alden Blackwell.
We also have the Assistant Chief, Mark Frederick.
Thank you.
What
Welcome,
happened
Mark.
to our correspondence? Are we gonna do that after?
Yes, we're going to do that.
After, okay,
this.
because we already did the approval of the minutes.
Right, well, we're going back and forth. We want to get,
Approval of the minutes for the meeting.
we're going to go back to the work session agenda in a minute. Well, not a minute, but... Soon. Okay. Can we start, Mayor?
Please.
All right, I'm the fire official for the Borough of Tenafly, Alden Blackwell. And assisting me tonight is Fire Chief Richard Philpott and Assistant Chief Mark Fredericks. Every year, Tenafly Fire Prevention Bureau sponsors a fire prevention poster contest, which is open to all of the students in the elementary schools in Tenafly. We do this during Fire Prevention Week to promote fire prevention and fire safety. The schools who participated this year were McKay, Mall, Smith, Stillman, and Our Lady of Mount Carmel. We had a total of 183 students submit posters this year. The theme for this year, for the posters, were "Here to Eat, Where You Sleep." Now, the awards are grouped in by grade. We'll be starting off with first grade, kindergarten, then we go first grade, second grade, third grade, and fifth, fourth and fifth. Okay? The honorable mention, third place and second place winners will receive a certificate and a ribbon. The first place winner in each grade receives a certificate, a ribbon, and a trophy. In addition, there is one overall winner for all the grades. That individual will receive another trophy and a $50 award from the Tenafly Fire Association. Okay? We'll start off with the awards for kindergarten. And I'm going to excuse myself a little bit. I may pronounce some of the names incorrectly. This year, I think I got most of them correct. Honorable mention, Isabella Tomo, Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Would you come up, Isabella? Third place is Stephen Comio.
Alden, you want to have them all stay? Then you get one big picture? You want them all to stand and have one big picture with them? With each grade or no? We can do that after. Okay.
Second place in kindergarten
Classic.
is Connor McLaren, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. First place is Jose Pablo Diarte Diaz, Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
Talk about that later.
We'll fix it.
Okay, if it seems like that group would sort of lean towards Mount Carmel, Mount Carmel was the only school that submitted posters for kindergarten. Okay, in first grade, honorable mention, Enos Bang, McKay School. Did I pronounce that right?
Pronunciation's right.
Third place, Lucas Chen, McKay School.
Good job. Very good one. Congratulations.
Second place, James Williams Long School. First place, Catherine Lee Stillman School.
Hold it this way. Okay? Congratulations.
Okay, second grade. Honorable mention, Olivia Walk, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Third place is Kaylee Ning, Stillman School. Second place, Joshua Corral, Long School. First place, CJ Antiferrano.
What school, Alden? Alden, what school?
Stillman School. Third grade, honorable mention, Benjamin Lee, Stillman School. Third place in third grade is Shara Valnish, McKay School. Sarah? Oh, Shara. Second place, Noah Abrahami, McKay School. First place, Sheila Lee, McKay School. Did I mispronounce that? Sheila Lee? Oh, Chloe. Chloe?
Chloe.
Yeah, we did.
Now we move on to fourth grade. Honorable mention, Maya Fisher, Smith School. Third place is Ines Kang, Long School. Second place is Phelan Franco, McKay School. In first place, fourth grade, Joanna Young, Mom School. Grade is Jason Chow, Smith School. Third place, Ava Nevins, McKay School. Second place, Sophia Lee, Smith School. And first place, fifth grade, Alice Kim, Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Okay, and we save the best for the last. The best overall poster contest winner for this year, in the Hear the Beat Where You Sleep, Every Bedroom Needs a Smoke Alarm contest, poster contest, goes to CJ Antefarano.
Are we getting everybody up to take a picture? Can I have a picture?
Okay. If all of you want, all participants are invited back to the fire department, to our meeting room, for some cookies and some juice.
Show them how, Alden, you'll lead them down so they know how to get there. But before you go,
We would like you to join us there, and we can take group pictures either right outside here, before we go down to the fire department room.
before you leave, Councilman Barzalato, who is a lifetime member of the Tenafly Volunteer Fire Department, would like to say something.
First of all, I want to say congratulations to all of the young men and women for doing a task that goes above and beyond schoolwork. You really have shown a care in fire prevention. But I want you to remember a couple things. First of all, remember, fire prevention isn't just that first week in October, right? Fire prevention is all year long. So all of the practice that you did with all of your posters, we have to promote all year long. We have to get mom and dad involved, we got to get our brothers and sisters involved, our neighbors. Everybody has to be involved to prevent fires. I just also want to just pay a tribute to these three gentlemen that stand to my left here. Alden Blackwell's our fire official, and the Borough of Tenafly is required that every town has its own fire official. And Alden's job is to go around and inspect all of the businesses and many times homes in Tenafly to make sure that they're up to code to prevent fires. And he does an outstanding job. And of course, many of you may not know this, but the Tenafly Volunteer Fire Department is 100% volunteer. That means that they do not get paid for what they do. They do it because they enjoy helping the citizens of the Borough of Tenafly, and they risk their lives every day to help the citizens of Tenafly. And it's certainly an honor to have probably the two finest members of our fire department here with us, Chief Richard Philpott and Assistant Chief Mark Frederick, who do over and above the call of duty every day, and they should be commended for their work for all of us here in the Borough of Tenafly. So this poster contest started many, many years ago in the Borough of Tenafly, but actually started in the state of New Jersey. And what happens is all of the posters get tabulated, they get sent to the state, and the state picks out one poster for all the kids throughout the state of New Jersey, and that poster is used throughout the state as a model for fire prevention. So again, on behalf of the fire department, on behalf of the mayor and the council, we want to say congratulations for a wonderful job. Please enjoy yourselves at the firehouse and having cookies and juice. And thanks again for coming. And you can come back anytime you want, okay? All right? Thank you.
Can we go for cookies and juice too?
Why is it cookies and milk? I don't know. Oreos with orange.
No, you don't. Eat it with milk.
Chips Ahoy.
Yeah. Especially Oreos.
Oh, Chips Ahoy.
I mean, I like Chips Ahoy. We always have Chips Ahoy in our house. We don't keep Oreos in the house because they go like wildfire.
They disappear.
They disappear.
I know.
Chips Ahoy have got like 3-day shelf life. Oreos about 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. In the middle of the night, sometimes they just disappear from my cabinet. And my wife will wake up. She goes, "What happened to all the Oreos?" I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
The
we're the
Oreo
only ones home.
Yeah.
Must have been the dog.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
we're going to ask that you take everybody outside so that we can continue our meeting, please.
Okay. Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Okay, we are now back in our work session mode, and the next section is correspondence, and we do have a letter. We're back in work session. And the first letter is entitled Tree City USA, and I know John and Levine are here to listen to the discussion. They did compile a rather,
Tree removal you're talking of, not
I'm
Tree
sorry?
City. You
It's
said
entitled Tree City.
This says
The
Tree
letter
City.
is entitled Tree City.
Oh, Tree
That was
City.
their term.
Yeah.
Oh, their
That was their terminology. And we are, by the way, a tree city.
I think since we had this, public comments were supposed to be later, and the people that are here did not have a chance, maybe instead of a public comments, we give them a chance to basically state their problem, and so they don't have to do it at the public comments. Will make it more logical to say it now. than
That's
to do-
fine. If either of you would like to get up and speak, you're more than welcome to do so at this time.
Hi, good evening.
Can you
You need to go to one of the microphones and just state your name and address. This will be recorded, and it's also on Channel 77. So just so you know,
Great.
that's all. Some people don't.
My name is Lavina Barrows. I live on 165 Sussex Road, and I'm here with my husband, John Barrows. Early June, I made the, in hindsight, unfortunate call to DPW to check a hole that was in my tree, in a beautiful oak tree, and see if anything could be done to save it. They said they would come and check it. For 3 months, I didn't hear from them, so I had really forgotten about the issue. Then on September 8th, I'd been working in the basement. I come upstairs, there's a lot of noise in front, and I look outside, and another tree, another oak tree, beautiful, healthy oak tree, is gone. Almost all, and they took it. So I said to my husband, yeah, look what they're doing. The tree is gone. So he went outside, and he'll continue this guy.
I came outside.
Sir, you'll need to state your name for the record, too.
Yes, my name is John Barrows, 165 Sussex Road. I came out and I spoke to the supervisor of the people that were cutting the tree. It was an independent company working for PCNW, as I found later on. And I asked them to show me their paperwork. They had absolutely nothing. I said, who gave you the orders? They were looking at each other. Finally, one of them got on the phone and said, somebody will come and speak to you. I went back home, and within 10 minutes, Mr. Calvert, the director of DPW, came, and he was holding a piece of paper in his hands, a work order. And I read it, we read it together with my wife, and it says specifically, the tenants, the residents of this house requested the tree to be removed. And I said, whoever told you this? I said, that was the wrong tree anyway. And here it is, okay? There are 2 trees in front of our house. We enjoyed them for 20 years. And all of a sudden, this tree is gone, poof, because somebody decided to cut it. And I said, this is the tree that had a hole that we wanted you to take a look at. Oh, was that the tree? Well, the other tree is next to the wires. Those are the wires. And you can go to Google Map, and you'll see very nicely, this was taken 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And in the meantime also, PCNG has come and cut some limbs so that they don't interfere with the wires. And I said, why did you cut this tree? And then he was fumbling. Well, it was an old tree. There's nothing wrong with this tree. It was absolutely a healthy, nice tree that we enjoyed for 20 years. And now we don't have it anymore. And we have a stump here. Then we sent a letter. And we went to the DPW office, and we asked the secretary to give us a copy of the document that Mr. Calvert refused to give us. It was his own document. No, he didn't want to give it to us because it was wrong. The secretary called Mr. Calvert. He was behind in the office. He came, and again he refused to give us the document. And I wondered why. Why would he want to refuse it? Then he said, go to the town to get an opera request to get it. We went to the town, we got an opera request, we got the document, and that whole phrase was removed. Mysteriously, it just disappeared.
Which phrase?
What phrase?
The work order. There's a piece of document that the DPW has, the work order. And the work order had a sentence that the residents of the house requested the tree removed. This tree. This has nothing to do with this tree that we asked him to come and take a look at. So we filed an opera request, and we got a piece of document that the sentence was completely eliminated. Then we sent a letter to the administrator to investigate, says, what happened to the original paper? Then we had a correspondence for about a month, back and forth about this matter. And finally we got a work order. This time, a sentence was inserted that PCNG cut the tree down. And I have both of those documents attached. Then the administrator told us, well, it was PCNG that came and cut it. Of course it was PCNG, it was the contractor, but who asked them to come and cut it? I called PCNG and I had a hell of a time finding the right person. Finally, after I invoked and I said, I'm going to call the Utilities Committee, Public Utilities Commission down Trenton, I found the right person. He was a supervisor on Palisades. I said, take a look at your records, see who asked you to cut it. He said, the director of DPW. Okay? That's what he told me. And he confirmed it in a letter to me. And some public notes said, well, we usually work with the towns and we cut trees if they think that we have to cut them. So, ergo, here's the problem. A document was eliminated for some mysterious reasons that I don't understand it. We had to go through the whole rigmarole, sending back and forth letters, and we never got a straight answer. We have a stamp looking out there. We want the stamp removed from the town. We want some kind of apology from somebody that there was a mistake. And also we would like to have another tree planted to replace the one that was eliminated in some place in front of our house.
Okay.
And a warning for the town. If DPW can talk anytime to want to public utility to come and cut a tree, there are hundreds of trees in Tenafly that are next to the wires. So somebody has to take care of this because we love the trees in this town.
Okay. In the interest of getting both sides of the story, I did reach out to Bob Culver to get a sense of what, in his mind, occurred here. I think one of the things that both sides agree upon is that she called the DPW to come look at that tree, the first tree. The DPW came and looked at that tree. According to Bob Culvert, who's an arborist, he didn't have any problem with the original tree, but he saw this tree which was in the wires, and he felt the tree was needed to be cut down, that it was not a healthy tree. He did inform Public Service of his opinion. Public Service came out and apparently on their own, without notice, which is something that's I don't believe should occur. Obviously, a resident should be given notice. They did cut that tree down. As far as I can tell, the only work order that was issued from Tenafly was the work order that was created when she made her initial phone call to come and look at that tree. There was never a work order issued to cut the tree down because we didn't cut the tree down. The contractor that came on behalf of Public Service. As far as your requests, I don't see why we can't remove that stump. I also don't see why we can't plant another tree. So those two things, I will do my best to see that it gets done.
Bob has said that both of those are
What?
fine.
I'm sorry?
No, Bob has said he can do both.
Yes.
I think one lesson is that the lady had written a request to come and look at the tree. If Bob went and looked and found that tree was healthy, he should have informed the resident that this tree is healthy. I think we can leave it alone. X tree is a problem. I'm going to have that cut. I think that
Well, I think that's a
that
good-
was an
I don't
oversight
think
on
that-
his part, and I think for that, I understand why the residents are feeling frustrated that nobody informed them of what they planned to do. If indeed the first tree was a healthy tree, despite the hole in it, I think they deserved an answer to their request that this tree is fine.
I agree.
And they cut the other tree. That too, I think they should have been informed that this tree, and it's happened now, and I agree with you, we should immediately remove the stump and plant another tree.
Okay, well, I can't say that.
The work order, there's a sentence in there that the tenant, that we should have been notified.
Yeah, we agree that you should have been notified.
We totally agree with
Also,
that.
we don't understand why the original work order, the sentence, tenant requested the removal of the tree, that disappeared. That bothered me a lot. Why didn't he, say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake? And he made.
Well,
he knew it right away because he said, oh yeah, that tree has a hole. I mean, I think he, right away when he came to our front door, he realized that that was not a tree. I don't know,
So
that
basically
he
it's-
erased whatever that was on the work order, he erased it.
So basically, a simple sorry would have been so
Became-
easy.
If he had said from the
A simple
beginning,
I'm
"I
sorry,"
made a mistake,
rather than a cover-up.
I'm sorry.
There's been no cover-up,
Excuse me, there
Max,
is
please.
no
Yeah.
cover-up.
There was
Can
a
we listen to
cover-up.
the resident, please?
No, we've
There was
heard
a
it.
cover-up.
well,
Mayor, why would he remove that sentence that the tenants?
Why would, that's the
Why-
very,
Ex-
because there was no sentence of
Excuse-
that.
There was.
There
sorry.
was a sentence, we saw it, both of us.
Excuse me.
Would we be here if it wasn't that the
And he
case?
refused to give us a copy.
They're not lying.
There was, we not
They're
lying.
not
Uh,
lying,
you're-
they're
you-
confused.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and you're going to
very
accuse
confused.
one of our employees of doing something that makes
I think
absolutely no
that-
sense.
I think that this
There's
is
no
more
reason for
than-
any
An apology
motivation
is
of
An
in
that
apology
nature.
is
I
right.
think an apology is in order, a replacement tree is in order.
Well, we've all agreed to that.
And we're taking out the stump,
I think it's a very
right?
unfortunate incident that should never have happened.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry
Excuse
that
me.
you have had to go through this
Yeah,
frustration.
well, I'm sorry.
Don't drag it out further, Jewel. It will
move on.
become worse.
Be done with it.
Don't drag it out anymore.
Just a minute,
Just a minute.
Because that's what it is.
It is not.
Stop it now, Jewel, because it will become worse. It will become worse. Stop it now.
Okay, next on the correspondence is, where's my agenda?
Pedestrian safety.
Where is it? I'm in the wrong one.
Pedestrian safety.
This is in the committee of the whole, or we're back?
It's the next one.
Okay, it's an email,
We are
an email from,
pedestrian safety. that
on
we are back
pedestrian safety, and I sent an email to our chief today concerning pedestrian safety because, this isn't the first comment I've got about pedestrian safety, and it's more than pedestrian safety, it's traffic safety in general.
I have it also under for the good of the order.
Yeah, okay. Next
Yeah.
is,
Do we discuss it now, or you want to
We
discuss it
discuss
during the good of the order?
discuss what?
The issue of cross signs, safety, and everything else. I have it under the good of the order.
So let's discuss it then, right?
Yeah, let's
It's more-
discuss
It's
it.
more than just this
Whatever you
letter,
want.
right?
Yes.
I'm okay with whatever.
So, well, if you notice, the email that she sent was sent in 2013. So I think at our next police commission meeting, we should once again emphasize this, and this email, Lisette, should be sent to the police chief, and tell him that the mayor and council concurs with the comments in it and would like to see some increase in pedestrian safety program implemented. The last item is, and this, I wanted to look into this today because I'm very familiar with this, for lack of, the letter writer calls it an unnamed street.
Is it an unnamed street,
No,
Mayor?
it's not. I can't be honest with you, I wanted to go into the building department and get a better sense of this. This is like there's a corner on Sherwood, and I'm familiar with it because I used to be very friendly with, the Raddies lived next door. And this was we used to look at it as a driveway. But we need to find out exactly who owns it. If it's borough property, then I mean,
Mayor,
if
is this the old entrance to the estate with the big iron gates on it?
No.
It's not that.
No, that's a small one.
If you
This is a
turn down
different one.
Sherwood,
Right.
when you get to the end of Sherwood, it makes a 90-degree turn.
Right.
straight ahead is like a driveway.
Okay,
It
okay.
leads to two houses. And we need to find out, Lisette, who owns the property on which this driveway or unnamed street is. If it belongs to the borough, then we need to maintain it, plow it. And if it doesn't belong to us, we need to identify the owner and let them know that it's their responsibility. And before we can decide on naming the street, I think we got to decide who owns it.
And then there's a letter, I think.
Yes, and Lisette just gave me this a few minutes ago. This is a request from, is there a date on, is there an address on this?
43 Gordon.
43 Gordon Avenue. It's one of those typical pod requests where they can't really get a pod on the side or the back of the house because of the layout of the land, and they're asking for permission to put a pod in the front, which is automatically denied by the building department. They have to come get permission from us. We normally give them
60, 90 days.
Give them 90 days and tell them, at the end of 90 days, if they need more time, they have to come back. Okay. Any questions on the resolutions?
Yeah, on the resolution, I would like to separate the L and discuss it separately.
Why don't we discuss it now?
Oh, we can discuss it now.
What-
The issue of this, you want to discuss it now?
Yeah, what happened was, I received a phone call from the state. What had happened is, past 2 years, they transferred all liquor license renewals online. And when they used to do it by paper, they would stamp every paper that needed, every license that needed a special ruling. They did not flag this application, this license holder, Enshin Wang. They used to be Yu Hong Bo Soup Restaurant, needing a special ruling. So even though we do our renewals in June, the state was getting to their portion of it, and they called me and they said that the system did not flag it, so it cannot be renewed. They have to go to an extra step, which is to ask the director for permission to renew and prove that they're trying to either activate the license or sell the license for someone else to activate. So before they could even do that, we have to rescind the initial renewal, and then they could proceed with the state formality.
So this is basically a perfunctory move on our part.
Correct.
Yeah.
It really has nothing to do with anything. So, okay, so we'll leave it on there.
Just let's give it a second for Ms. Hyder to come back. She has a cold. So otherwise, we don't have a quorum to vote on resolutions.
We do have a quorum.
We have a
There's
quorum.
4 of us here.
There's 3 of us.
There's 3 of you and me is 4.
You can vote on the resolutions, 3.
Yes, I can. We're not voting on it now. This is the work session.
Okay.
We're just.
Right, we're not voting yet.
We're reviewing it.
All right.
That's a heck of a cough she has.
Yeah, she has a very bad cold, got antibiotics and everything.
We can move on to, for the good of the order, since we have.
I'm sorry?
We
Okay.
can move on to the good of the order.
Move on to what?
The good of the order.
Go to order.
For the good of the order. Okay, Max, you wanted to bring up crosswalks.
Yeah, basically, it's time for us to take a look overall in town of what crosswalk we have, what do we need to do, and to be able to install those flashing signs on the crosswalks. If you look at all the adjacent towns, they have those crosswalks with flashing signs. They become a very, very strong indication for the motorists to stop. We don't have any of them. We also have the need of crosswalk up on the Palisades on East Clinton. We had this fatal accident. A lot of people came to us and said, we need a crosswalk in front of the JCC because people are jogging, then they're crossing over.
Crosswalk in front of the JCC?
Yes.
Are you,
Excuse me.
what?
Well, hold on, Tony, because, first of all, there are certain places you cannot put crosswalks because of safety issues.
Yeah, well, that's why
You put a crosswalk somewhere where it's not safe and people feel they can cross the street. Unfortunately, where the JCC is concerned, A, it's on a very bad curve. B, there's next to no pedestrian traffic at the entrance to the JCC. I live there.
Well,
You know,
let me finish. So we need to understand
The accident was a jogger at 5 in the morning wearing dark clothing.
Yeah, we need to understand if we have to put an additional lane for either joggers up on that street.
It's a county road.
I know, but we can go to the county road and say, the whole idea is we need to have a plan. Right now, we don't have, there are lots of people that would like to have a crosswalk over there by the liquor store, and they would like to have flashing lights over there so people can cross there. We talked about the crosswalk that we're going to have over here by the town hall. We need flashing lights. We need to move on to put additional safety issues on the crosswalk to make sure that we have the security. So what I would like to propose to the council, this is just for the good of it, to get the chief to come to put a comprehensive plan in front of us regarding what can be done to ensure the crosswalks, to ensure the safety of the joggers, because we have plenty of joggers in Tenafly, and see what can we do. And if we have to go to the county, because some of them are county roads, we'll put together a request, and then we'll go to the county and say, we need a lane for joggers, we need a lane for bicyclists, whatever we need to be there. But we need to kind of take care of that right now, because there was an emergency that happened, and we don't want to have another one.
Keep in mind that the chief is not a traffic engineer.
Okay. Rails to trails?
Rails to trails. So I was contacted by, actually many of us, I think all of us were contacted by resident Fred Silber, and he had emailed to me this idea of this Rails to Trails, which Lizette was kind enough to distribute to everyone. And so Mr. Silber's kind of goal ultimately is to ask CSX for permission to turn the tracks from Tenafly up to Northvale to a trail. Whether it's a jogging trail, a bike trail, a walking trail, grass, all remains to be seen. And so he is asking for our support, at least conceptually and emotionally, and give him the statement that says go ahead and do it, and we support it, and he will head up that action and communicate with CSX and see if he can put this together with the other boroughs that are in this line.
Well, what I'm going to suggest is, I know Christine Everon, under the auspices of Rotary, has reached out to all of the Rotary clubs north of us in an effort to do exactly the same thing.
Okay.
And
that's good news.
They may actually be ahead, and what I'm going to suggest, and you can deliver this message to Fred, and we deliver the message that you and Fred get together, and rather than do two different plans, I don't think there's anybody that would have a problem with rails to trails north of...
With trails, as Fred explained to me, Mayor.
What?
What Fred explained to me was it's rail with trails. They're not pulling up the rail. It's going to be alongside that.
Okay.
And he has a petition. There's a petition going around of about 1,000 signatures. He was telling me already on it, and the bike people are involved. All bikers are involved. So I think that's a very good idea that Fred and Christine should talk. And
do you know Fred?
I've met him before, yes.
But, okay, so I will connect the two of you together tomorrow. Okay, good.
All right.
Can you do it after Thanksgiving?
After Thanksgiving? No, sorry. Then I'll forget, so I have to do it tomorrow.
do we want to do like a resolution in support of this as a way of telling them that?
Well, I think that's a great idea, but we should probably get some
Let them talk
communication
first.
from them first to see what they'd like the resolution to be about.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure
then we
that
communicate
you
that
can come
with
up
all
with
the towns.
sample resolutions.
Right.
As I mentioned to Christine earlier, we've had this discussion at Rotary for several months now. There may be some pushback up north because the number of the towns up north are still hoping against hope for light rail. And they are reluctant to do anything to this rail corridor that would preclude light rail. But that aside, I think this is a great idea. I know that the tracks north of the border have rails to trails.
By Spark Hill, not everything.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Spark Hills and
And what
Nyack.
Fred was talking about with me was, he said this should be, this could position Tenafly as like the gateway from Englewood up north, you know? So I think it's a great idea, and I think, you know, you look at the Highland, it's so successful, so why not?
Yeah, and we need to get more bikers off of 9W, which is a very unsafe road.
Very
Exactly.
I know I went to a meeting, geez, it must almost be a year ago, where New Jersey, I can't even remember which department of New Jersey, is working on expanding the bike lanes on 9W to make 9W a much safer path for bikers, but the problem is Englewood Cliffs, where there's no shoulders and no room to do things. You know, there's interest in trying to provide a corridor for bikers, most of which come out of Manhattan, and they're working on it, but there seems to be some serious roadblocks, basically in Englewood Cliffs. And the Port Authority is redesigning the George Washington Bridge, and when that project is done, although it's probably about a 10-year project, the north side, what's now the north side walkway, will be a dedicated bike and jogger trail, and they're going to make it much more conducive to biking, where right now you have to go up and down stairs. They're going to try and minimize that. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that, but that's the plan, where people that want to walk will be on the south side of the bridge, and people that want to ride bikes, maybe the joggers are on the south side. People that want to ride bikes will be on the north side. Sounds like an exciting plan. That makes a lot of sense, so we shall see.
Mayor, I have two items for the good of the order which I forgot to ask Lizette to include. Can I bring them up now?
Absolutely.
First, I have a question actually. The first item is parking permits for residents in the borough parking lot, the commuter lot. How much do we charge our residents?
Was that?
We charge
Is that the clerk's
$150 for the year for residents and I believe $400 or $450 for non-residents.
You're talking about commuters, right?
Commuters, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the 150 guarantee them a spot?
We have enough spots.
You know why I
because-
ask? Because it came to my attention because I've started taking the bus to the city more frequently than I used to in the past, and I park on Engel Street and I don't pay. There's no, meters or anything. So here are residents who are paying this $150, and I'm wondering, is that because the parking on Engel Street, of course, is not guaranteed.
Commuter lots are never totally full.
Yeah, if they
Okay.
Yeah,
never
because
what?
we do is
Totally
we
full.
Can we
Okay.
reduce that amount, you think, or is that a fair amount?
Well, it's just for the year. So if somebody comes in April, we prorate it, or if somebody comes in the summer, it's prorated quarterly. But what happens is when we have parking permits, we notify the police department, and if for whatever reason there's a shortage, then we go back to a waiting list. We've done this before and give residents priority.
Okay.
Maybe we should put meters on Engel Street.
Mayor, don't do that.
No.
And my second item deals with an issue of open public meetings, and Bill, you can help me with that. Mayor, you had mentioned that members of the Senior Services Committee, that members of the Senior Services Center Board, it's not advisable for them to be at the Senior Services Committee. Now, isn't that a violation of open public meetings? I mean, can't they, as residents, be at any meeting they choose to go to?
Absolutely.
I don't understand your question, though.
My question is, the mayor had said at a previous meeting that it's advisable that the center board members are not attending Senior Services Committee meetings. And I was at a Senior Center Board meeting, and this question was brought up.
It is a public meeting, and that nobody can tell them not to go.
I want to make it clear because I don't want this misunderstood that we are asking people not to attend specific meetings.
What happened in my... Oh, so go ahead, Nancy.
Well, again, I'm not really certain of the question. Are you asking whether or not members
Well, I want this to clarify to myself that anybody can attend that meeting.
Of course, sure.
Well, first, understand two things. One is the Senior Center Board of Directors. That's technically not a public meeting,
No,
They
no,
don't-
not them. I'm talking
No,
about
no,
them
but
going to the other
I know,
meeting.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
technically,
that's
it's
not a-
not a
I
public
agree.
meeting because they don't give notice, et cetera.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
The Senior Services Committee, I mean, Gloria Lane really was the person that pushed very hard to move this committee out of the senior center, to basically separate it to a certain degree with the senior center. And as a result, it was moved out, and a degree of separation was made. And my sense of it became that that was conflicted with a number of people who were going back and forth and just creating a little bit of havoc. And you know, I'll be honest with you, I thought that the Senior Services Committee was kind of weighed down a little bit by this action. I think a number of the things that we had hoped that they would get done didn't get done as quickly as they would have liked to get done.
It didn't get done quickly because they were separated?
No,
Because
because
they
there was too much back
and
and forth. The Senior Services Committee obviously needs to work hand in hand with the Senior Center Board of Directors, because that's part of their constituency. But, you know,
Yes,
let's face
specifically
it,
now
we
with
took
this-
it out of the senior center to create some separation, and that separation was being minimized by people. All of a sudden, everybody felt they had to go to both meetings.
I guess if they still want to attend the meeting, there is,
They can if they, you know, I don't have the authority, nor
No,
do I.
and
I just suggested to people that things might move a little smoother if people stayed on their side of the street.
One of the things that we're going to go to the report of the committee is we're going to have joint sessions now for the tasks that both of them are kind of requested to do together. Like, since we're going to have the bus, the actual scheduling, the operation, and everything else, we're going to have a joint meeting to make sure that we understand what everybody's going to be doing, so we can separate the functions, and also making sure there are no duplications between the Senior Citizen Committee and the Board of Trustee. And that's very important, that they want to invite the Board of Trustee to come and be part of that. There was a question about you saying you don't want to have them, but it's important for them to be able to work together. That was what Shama got in her committee, and now I got it very strongly in the Senior Citizen Committee too. So we said we're going to discuss that. There is absolutely no question that everybody can attend those meetings, and since we have to work together, we're going to put together this.
Max, when you say things that are a little, when you say there's absolutely no question, basically what you're doing is you're contradicting what I said, and which is your prerogative. I believe in free speech.
Good.
But however, just keep in mind that it is my prerogative to make appointments to these boards and commissions, not to the Board of Directors, and also to appoint liaisons.
Hopefully they're not going to be represented.
And I believe that what's happened in the past has not always been having a positive effect on the process. We should have been much further along in a lot of areas than we are, and a lot of it's because of the stuff that goes back and forth, Max.
The issue that they are having, which is coordinating between the two specific boards, as far as how do you go about scheduling, how do you about the program of the bus, and so are imperative that they work together.
Well, maybe what you ought to do when it comes to scheduling the bus is you should get one or two members of the senior Board of Directors and one or two members.
That's exactly what we want to do.
But keep in mind, Max, you're not a member of the committee. You're simply a liaison. You're supposed to be reporting to us what goes on there, not creating things.
I'm not creating, I'm reporting exactly what they want.
You are.
And I'm supporting the Senior Citizen Board 100%. They want to do that. And the fact that you are threatening now with specific appointments that some of the people that might not do exactly what you want might not be there next year, it's not exactly conducive to good business. So what we should be able to talk about is how do we work together in making sure that all the functions of the town and of the different committees work to the benefits of the town. So when I was going to report on the Senior Citizens Committee, I'm going to report on all the actions they want to take in order to make sure that once the bus is here, we have a driver, we have a scheduler, and everything else.
Okay. I believe that's the end of our work session. So I'll entertain a motion to close the work session.
So moved.
All in favor? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
This is the work session.
Now, I believe it's time to...
Now we're in the
Just
public meeting.
resuming the public.
Now we're resuming the public?
Because we already
Yes.
started.
Yeah.
Okay. Public comment?
Consent agenda? Not yet.
No, we do that now. I'm withdrawing now with your explanation. I'm withdrawing my request to have it separated. You
Well,
can put it in.
we're going to do public comments first. Any public comment on anything at all, whether it's on the agenda or not?
Should I comment on the rails to trails? There are a few.
No.
Not necessary, really. Anybody else care to speak? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Sure. Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Hader?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Okay, next is the ordinance. We're going to do the public hearing.
I have to read the ordinance first. Okay, the following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on October 13, 2016, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Municipal Center. Ordinance number 16-18, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the Borough of Tenafly adopted on February 9, 2016, and to amend and supplement the land development regulations of the Borough of Tenafly to designate certain properties within Borough Historic as set forth in the Historic Preservation Plan of the Master Plan of the Borough of Tenafly, and amending Chapter 35 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Land Development Regulations.
You want me to read it?
Sure, please.
Okay.
No, wait. First, public comment on this particular ordinance? Okay, please, Max.
Yes. I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 16-18 that notice of same shall be published according to law.
Second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Hader?
Yes.
Councilmember Zina?
Yes.
Old business?
Yes, old business.
Go ahead.
I received a complaint concerning the railroad tracks at Central Avenue. Can somebody explain when,
Absolutely, I can explain.
before I grow hair, is it going to get fixed?
No, I think your hair will be you'll be getting your first haircut.
I figured that.
Back in April or May of 2015, we had a pre-construction meeting with CSX. Anybody was there. I mean, they had about 16 different people from CSX, the construction firm that was going to reconstruct. We had our borough engineer there. We had our DPW director there. Everything was agreed upon, and I would say every 3 months or so, called the people whose business cards I had from CSX to ask what's going on, and the answer is, it's on the schedule. I suggested to them that it might be helpful to do the reconstruction when school is not in session, but right now I would take it even when school is in session just to get it done. We've done as much as we can. When I say we, our DPW has done as much as we can. Legally, we're not allowed to touch the crosswalks. The crossing itself, it's railroad property.
I fully understand that, but I think it would be in our best interest that we, somebody's car is going to, because of the pothole, somebody's going to get hurt.
As somebody, maybe as the OEM, you could move some mountains. I'll give you some contact information.
I'll try.
They even went so far as to do a traffic plan for what streets would be closed down when the construction took place.
That's my only concern about the rails to trails. Trying to deal with the railroad
CSX, that's going
is
to be the toughest.
very, very difficult.
Yeah, I told that to Fred.
Any other old business? New business? Committee reports. Max, you have any?
Yes, I'll start with
Which is new
the
business. We've talked in the past of that alleyway that goes from Knickerbocker all the way down, through Esmond, the back roads there.
Well, there's a whole bunch of
Right.
alleyways.
The alley that goes from Esmond east, there's a tree right on the corner of Esmond there. It has to come down,
What has to come down?
the tree.
Is it one of our trees?
Well,
Does it belong to us?
It doesn't, well.
It's in the middle of the road, right?
No, it's on the edge of the alleyway.
Yeah, but is it in the right-of-way?
It's on the edge of the alleyway,
And
so
is
it's
it
not
on
on,
the, is it anywhere near Esmond Place?
probably 7-8 feet away.
Well, would you do me a favor? Just send Bob.
Well, Bob, DPW, I understand, has been there, and they said they're not taking it down because it's not a town tree, but it's on the alley. Nobody can tell me who owns the alley.
Nobody owns the alley.
Well, then the tree's gotta come down.
All right, do me a favor, can you just, where's the tree?
Right on the corner, right on the corner.
Esmond and.
Esmond
Esmond in the alley, right there, right?
You know what what the number of the house is next to it?
I'll get it for you. I'll get it.
Bob knows the
I'll get it
tree?
for you. All right?
Would you ask Bob?
Thank you.
Yes.
To give us an explanation? I know
in the corner.
the alley situation is a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be honest with you, the only reason we haven't tried to address it is because it is so complex, and there's no guarantee that as much work as we put into it.
Absolutely.
That there'll be any resolution, right. But if it's within the right-of-way of Esmond, then it is.
It might not be in the right-of-way.
But if it's beyond that, then.
So
it's
what's the effect,
private
if it's beyond the right-of-way, but it's in an alley that no one owns, what's the effect of us taking it down if we choose to take it down?
Well, under our ordinance, it says that obnoxious or dangerous, plants can be removed and then charged to the property owner.
If nobody owns the property, we'll have to eat it. But
Well, we wound up eating the cost of it, but taking down a tree doesn't really cost us that much money.
No, but if it's dangerous or.
What's the problem? What is
How
the
big is the tree,
problem?
though?
Tony, what is the problem with the tree?
Oh, tree's dead.
Oh, the tree is
The
dead.
trees the trees I've seen are.
So
let's not spend any time on it. Get a report from Bob as to the status of the tree, and then we'll speak with Carol Byrne and get a sense of, if nobody else owns it, then we have to take it down
Yeah,
ourselves.
we have to.
But Bob is our arborist, and he'll determine whether or not the tree has to come down. Tell him to make a work order. Okay.
All right, I guess reports. The Senior Citizen Committee met, and they were very thankful. It looks like the coordinator, the Senior Services Coordinator, is going to be coming very shortly. What's the date?
Our plan is to have someone selected by November 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, Max, and by the way, the Assistant Director of the Senior Center started today? Did she start today?
Yes.
Yes, and that's that.
Very nice lady.
Very, yeah.
I've been too sick to go anyway. I'll go
Right.
after Thanksgiving. I'm sure she is.
Supposed to be a very nice lady, everybody said.
Yeah, everybody should
And,
stop in and say hello.
Everybody, I guess Gloria was very complimentary of the work together that she had with Jewel on selecting these people. So now that the process is moving and the bus is on the way, they were talking about having, like, for example, in Harrington Park, they have two drivers, and one of the drivers is also the actual scheduler. And in the interest of understanding if that can be achieved in Tenafly, they would like to be able to look at that because that would save additional money
Which community is it?
in Harrington Park.
Okay.
And also the person in Harrington Park would be willing to come and train for a short period of time, and we can get somebody from workforce for 3 years, a period of 2 months or 3 months for training, and then we can have that person fully paid for by the workforce. The other issues were, now that the person that's going to be the administrator, I'm not administrator, whatever the coordinator is going to be here, they would like to have a meeting at the senior center to introduce that coordinator, and they would like the mayor and the administrator, Jewel, to be part of the meeting. They will go and talk to the people, to the Board of Trustees, to organize that meeting and make it like a very festive event, because it's a big deal for the people in town to know that now they have somebody they can go to and stuff like that. They also need to work with the Board of Trustees to start defining if the actual scheduler is going to be working within the senior center, and to basically understand the functionality of that scheduler, how they're going to work with the driver and so on, and put together this operational function that's important now for the full functionality of the town. And pretty much that's what, if I forgot something, you're going to tell me, Mark. Yes? Thank you. That's all.
Shama, you have anything?
Yes, Mayor, at the last Board of Adjustment meeting, the pool application on Leroy was presented again with substantial changes, and it was approved unanimously. But the homeowners really came with pretty substantial changes to it. In fact, there was a pre-existing non-conforming use which they brought into conformity, and they really made an effort, and it sailed through.
I read them in the Riot Act. Well, I'm pleased because they were very upset.
No, yeah.
Tony, you have anything? Mark?
No, but I have a question for Max, back to the bus for a second.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a tentative date of when we think the bus will get here?
March,
In March?
around March.
And so you've got a subcommittee you were mentioning before of two or three people from each of the
We
groups?
would like to, yes, start working together to put it together. Yes.
We have,
Okay.
we have a full implementation plan.
Good,
'cause
okay.
It has to be planned.
No, understood. Yeah, good.
Yeah, and we need to finish the schedule, we need to finish the functionality, we need to understand if we're going to have, besides going to some places, also a route in town, we need to understand if we can take them for lunches or something. There's a whole thing that needs
Good.
to be put together.
Good, good.
Yeah.
One comment I do have is the Chamber is having their holiday parade December 8th at 6 p.m. So come one, come all.
Absolutely.
Okay, if there's nothing else,
That's it.
we'll ask Bill to read the closed session.
Sure. Resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, Mayor and Council of the Borough of Tenafly will go into closed session to discuss the following matters. The first few are attorney-client privilege matters, one of which is a matter for litigation, and that's the Pirelli versus Borough of Tenafly. And the other two matters are attorney-client privilege matters, swim club parking lot, lease discussion, and the South Summit Street parking lot potential acquisition. We also have a personnel matter, which is an update on some personnel vacancies, and last of which is a collective bargaining matter, just an update on the PBA grievance. Minutes will be taken to the meeting and releases of public times matters are resolved. After this closed session, the Mayor and Council will reconvene in the Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion to go into closed?
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.